ways, one way or another. So if you're a wise person, then you look at the world and you try to make those decisions wisely on what you're willing to accept, what you're gonna have to pay, your punishments that you're gonna have, those souls that you're gonna have to reap. So, but most people go around and they're not even aware. They're completely oblivious to what they're creating. And
That's what the American dollar is. I promise to pay. I promise to pay who?
exactly,
That is your friend if you know how to use it. You can become a billionaire if you know how to use it.
yeah.
Other than that, you're in poverty. You're like, oh, I got my stimulus check, and then inflation goes up. You go buy a can of beans. My man was like, I can't even eat just because of inflation. I'm like, ooh, I'm like, yeah. He he
Yeah,
kicked me. He kicked me in the ass without kicking me in the ass.
and they're
Like
gonna be like, I hope you saved some of that stimmy. I hope you
for
do.
real, yeah, that shit's been gone. For real, like man, I don't know what to tell you. A pack of bacon, $10. Come on, it was yeah. Don't get me wrong, it was like $6.59 or some shit like that. But still, a couple dollars means a lot when it comes to like beef. Same
But
thing, a
those
pound of beef, $10.
but those prices have been rising already, even before this. So they sharply rise.
They slowly did it. Yeah, you're right. Yep, you're 100% right.
Yeah, they've been doing it for a while, and then they did a 7.4 this last point year percentage increase, and that's fucking on top of the increases they already did is a motherfucker when they're not paying people more, and
Man,
and
look,
rent costs more.
there's Johnny Cockrell was saying, okay, well, okay, that's funny that he died when he came up with a blueprint for reparations. He's like, really, even if all these people got reparations, it would still go right back into the system. You ain't gonna rotate nothing.
No, and
Power
it,
economics.
and that's why I don't understand why they won't do some things because it doesn't make sense because they're just gonna get richer if they gave reparations to people. What do you think they're gonna do? They're gonna spend it up at Gucci and Fendi and Prada.
Yes, sir.
But I want to
Nothing
go
in
back.
your name.
I want to go back a bit though. Let's run it back. We start going into economics, but on the economic side, the church is draining. I don't know if at this point the church has become a leech on the community because I don't see it building the community. You know what I'm saying? Like you're saying, all the money you're paying, and then you're paying the church. So what is the church doing with this money? Even in the book, it says that this money should go to the community. These
It's
tithes.
called they have a hidden tax. That's what's going. That's what's really happening is that they're really paying homage to England. America is a corporation. We are ran. We are not a country. We are a corporation, and we're ran by another, the Vatican or whatever you want to call it. It may go deeper than that. They'll be like, "Oh, yeah, he doesn't know what he's talking about," but
I,
it's ran by
I,
something else.
I
Somebody is
think you're
paying
right.
somebody else.
I think you're right, and I think that it also has to do with money laundering, but also like because the last church that I was going to regularly, they started having these visitors, and they were from synagogue. These were Jewish people, and they were talking about how like taking trips to Africa and all of this stuff, funding trips to go help. I don't know, kids in Africa, orphanages, build schools or something like that. And but I thought that was really strange, and then also they were focusing on that Jehovah idea because people like to talk about Jesus all the time, and then it's coming out that the J didn't even exist during this time when Jesus. Oh wait, what am I trying to say? Anyways, they instead of saying Jesus, they want focus on Yahshua or Yahweh. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay, so and I'm like they're changing the narrative, and it's like I think it's bigger, like you said, because it's so much money. Even if you add each one of those churches in the hood is making a bunch of money, but if you add them up together, and as far as the pastors, living good, the pastor's living good, but still that church is making a lot of money. Where is that money going?
They're paying homage to Yahweh. Like when I really dive deep into that, and knowledge is dangerous. Like it forms the body when you talk about language, and then it goes back to the flower of life and um, the seed of life and the Vesica Pisces. Like they people want something tangible. They want something that they can hold, that they can touch. And if they can't touch it, then they don't understand it.
Right,
Peace
right,
to Ashe, peace to the gods, because there's something bigger than us. But we have a certain mind to um, we can manipulate. When you pay attention to something, it changes the molecular structure
right.
of, you know what I'm talking about, don't you?
Yes, I know what you're talking about.
Quantum
There's a
physics.
yeah,
Yes.
basic science, like and I talk about it all the time, like because that's why they don't know certain
Quantum physics.
there's certain things that they'll never know, because once you look at something, it's like you're touching it, so you change
once
it,
you
so you
once
don't.
you tap into the tree of life, you that's why it's all allegories. They were like, okay, well, Eve bit the apple and he gave it to Adam and all this. Well, stop thinking about that as being something physical.
Right,
Turning what is it called? Water into wine, turning lead into gold. That's all about your mind, your psyche, your physical being.
yeah,
Focus
uh,
on that, and then things will change. But we have to do it on a molecular structure. We have to do it on a microstructure. You have to look at it under a microscope. We can't even do that. We what do you need most out of life? Water. Okay, and then you go to another step. The freedom is on your plate. What's on your plate? What are you eating?
right,
Let's talk about that. What are you eating?
right,
Where are you getting it from? We can't even connect that back to. If I ate an animal, well, I eat animals, obviously, carnivore, but like I have no relationship with the animals.
right.
And like Pat was saying the other day or yesterday, praying over your food, and no,
Right.
it was another guy that was saying that. But I was like, yeah, you gotta, you know what I mean? You have to have a relationship. And so have a relationship like this conversation, have a relationship with the person that you're talking to or you're next to or that you
Ac-
um, metaphysically have a connection with, if you have an
Acknowledge
understanding.
their existence, and you give thanks, because that animal, it gave its life to, to give you life. You know what I'm saying? Because you're using their flesh to give you energy and sustenance for you to keep going. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And there's really nothing wrong with it as far as the circle of life. That's the way the game goes. So that's why I don't like waste. And that's why I feel like if you kill something, you should eat it, because that's respecting it. You know what I'm saying? Because otherwise, what did you kill it for? You know, you're disrespecting, you're wasting. It could have been used. That was a waste. You know?
Right, but Americans, they throw a lot of food away. You see a lot of poor people on the street. Poor is a mentality, and sometimes it's a circumstance. Take
Yep.
control of that circumstance. I'm like, all these people that's on Skid Row, in California. I'm like, well, there are a lot of great minds that can come together and stay in a one bedroom with 7, 8 people, but what are you doing? Like, what are you paying attention to? And that's where the elite has control. No, they're not reading. You don't have a book. You don't even have a paper book. What are you reading? Oh, the Bible. Oh, okay. Well, who is getting paid for the book? Who is the author of the Bible? Who is getting paid who is getting the let's talk about it. Uh what is that called?
Publishing.
Like residuals, publishing, whatever you want to call it. Who's getting paid for it? Even if you read in the Bible.
Yeah. Well, I always say read more books. I mean, people get mad when I say that, but I mean, I'm sorry, but that's just how I feel. I mean, like the Bible can help you in a lot of ways, but I think, but you need to read some more books. It's not going to give you a complete. It's not going to help you learn how to manage your money. And you know what I'm saying? It's not going to teach you how to grow food.
Yeah, you can't eat the Bible just like money, just like gold. They say, well, gold and silver has a certain monetary value. Well, can I wipe my ass with it? You know, can I, you know, can I progress? We
And
we're
it
trying. We're
sucks. I see people in the hood, like you say, hood mentality, ghetto mentality, poor mentality. I see these people and they read the Bible every day, and it's like your situation hasn't changed. Like, and then you feel like you're doing something. That's what's so crazy about it all. It makes you feel like you're doing something. You're reading the
no the
same
thing
book
that
every day.
I love to click up. My thing when I created something for the family, it was about like longevity, prosperity, family, take care of your family, and this and that. And people in the ghetto are like, oh, well, I'm this, I claim this set. But do you own that block? Do you own the real estate? Who's getting paid? A landlord? Somebody could just come in, walk in, do whatever they want and be like, oh, you got to get the fuck out. Do you own a piece of land? Where, where is that substance?
I want to
It's
play
not
a.
there. It's not there.
I want to
So
play
we
a
got to
bit.
stop.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say we got to stop, and I say we because I'm in this physical realm. We have to stop doing things that it's not. There's no progression.
Right. Growth. I want to play a bit of this to get us back on the topic.
The eternal return of life. Howard Thurman says there is ever something compelling and exhilarating about the glad surprise. The emphasis is upon glad. There are surprises that are shocking, startling, frightening, and bewildering. But the glad surprise is something different from all of these. It carries with it the element of elation, of life, of something over and beyond the surprise itself. The experience itself comes at many levels. The simple joy that comes when one discovers that the balance in the bank is larger than the personal record indicated, and there is no error in accounting. The realization that one does not have his door key. The hour is late and everyone is asleep, but someone very thoughtfully left the latch off just in case. I stand at the door and knock. Anyway, let me not do that because Jesus was at the door too. He goes on, he says, finally, he says, there's a deeper meaning in the concept of the glad surprise. This meaning has to do with the very ground and foundation of hope about the nature of life itself. You see where we're going? The manifestation in this quality in the world about us can best be witnessed in the coming of spring. It is ever a new thing, a glad surprise. Oh, the temperatures. Oh, I don't need my coat. Oh, look, I hear the birds. Oh, the air. It's a glad surprise. Spring. Every year, when's it coming? When's it coming? I'll be glad when spring is here. Oh man, I'll be glad when spring is here. Thurman goes on and says, it is ever a new thing, a glad surprise, the stirring of life at the end of winter. One day there seem to be no signs of life, and then almost overnight, swelling buds, delicate blooms, blades of grass, bugs, insects, an entire world of newness everywhere. It is the glad surprise at the end of winter. Take courage, therefore. Now, I'll pause there. That's enough. This is, of course, this is the one that his daughter edited called For the Inward Journey, the writings of Howard Thurman. We talked about this again. We talked extensively about Howard Thurman, the man. Here's the thing. Once the Romans have killed Jesus, they got a problem now. Hey, you done martyred him. And them cats over there said, not only is he coming back, he done come back. And he ascended, and he said he gonna be back. Oh, okay. So they just in some old crazy shit. All right, no problem. No. You don't understand. You don't understand. Now they ain't scared of you. Oh, okay. So how many of them is? There's a couple of cults. Hell no. This cop over here said he had a man in. He saw 300 of them over here by the river. And there was another 1,000 of them. Oh shit, it's growing. Oh, it took them a couple of centuries to figure out they couldn't kill it. So of course, if you can't kill it, you join it. The Romans is like, shit, we can't stomp it out. Let's join it. But here's the problem. You got all these other people through faith who believe what you were doing before this cat showed up. And this cat, what he was talking about, and what these other people believe who were doing this stuff before he showed up, whether they be the Jews or whether they be what now will be called the pagans or the heathens, realizing that word ethnic comes from, well, the Greek, and then the Latin use is for the Romans would use it for ethnic or ethne would be the Greek. They would say people who are heathens aren't part of us. The Greeks would say they're not Greek. It's the root of the word heathen is ethnic. The same ethnic. It's the same root for ethnic. Other than. So the Romans are like, well, you got all these other thans who will be called pagans now. But guess what connects them all? Hope. I hope I get to live forever. I hope I can have eternal life. Guess what? You can't get the glad surprise unless you die. And if you die and you don't live forever, I guess you ain't gonna know about it. People say, man, I woke up this morning, so I'm great. And I always say, yeah. And the day you don't wake up, you great too. Why? Because either it's something on the other side or you ain't gonna know about it. So it's all right. In other words, I don't steal nobody joy, but let's be clear. Take a deep breath, take knock high, release the breath, center, and guess what? As my man Paul Fitzgerald, now ancestor with my mom and everybody else, longtime deacon at Canaan New Baptist Church. It could be 50 degrees below zero with sleets and hailstorms outside. Hailstones, the biggest size of golf balls. You come into church. Good morning, Brother Fitzgerald. Good morning. This beautiful morning. How you doing? I'm doing fine this beautiful morning. In other words, Paul Fitzgerald, that was my Thich Nhat Hanh. Brother Fitzgerald, it don't matter what the weather is. It's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day. As my daddy would say, it's lovely. Today is lovely. Why? There's an option. You breathing, ain't you? It's a lovely day.
Any day above ground is what I always say. And I think that a lot of this is driven by the fear of death, right? So it's this idea that, ultimately we're all going to die. So it's like, but, I don't really want that to happen. But that's not really nature, right? You know what I'm saying? That's not really how things work. So, but then when somebody comes along and tells you, well, hey, if you do this, then you can live forever. Then you're like, oh, okay, shoot. Let me go with what this dude is talking about. But he's selling you a dream, though. He's selling you a fantasy. You know what I'm saying? And really all it is about is control so that they can, manipulate you. I don't want to offend anybody. I'm sorry. But like religious people are the most easily manipulated groups that you have out here. And it really doesn't matter which religion you want to choose. I'm not picking on any of them, but it's so much easier to be manipulated when you're really religious. And it just is what it is. And that's the whole point of it. It's about control. So the thing is, right, like I say, the fear of death, being afraid to die, but it doesn't say that in the Bible anywhere that you should fear death. This is something that you're kind of like conjuring.
Earth is a farm, and so in order to reverse that ideology and perspective is that we have to stop like an animal to be honest has as much right to live its life out as long as it can versus anybody else. I look at certain things on TV and murders and people, psychopaths and whatever. It's like I want you to go home to your family just like you do. It should be that way. It might, it could be mind construct. It could be a computer program. It could be manipulated in a lot of ways. Um, no one has the time to think.
They're just
People are
not.
going to work,
They're not taking the
and,
time to think. That's
and
that's
then,
that's different
well,
because it's really simple. Like I was gonna say, you reap what you sow, right? That's the name of the show, reap what you sow. And reaping and sowing, that's what a lot of this have to do with too, metaphysically and physically, like in just simple reality. So like within your life, right? You reap what you sow because the life you build, the things you do, that's what happens. That's how your life builds. That's how things come at you. Like
but
let's say you
a
live a
lot of
life.
things, if it's not happening to you or your family, then do you really care? I know you do, but most people don't. They don't have that ideology. They're just like it's a survival of the fittest.
And that's crazy because it doesn't say that in the religions, like at all. So, like, where is this coming from?
It's survival mode. That's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so, but then, okay, I could give them that to a certain extent because the powers that be want to keep people, as serfs and struggling and willing to. That's how they take advantage of people because I be trying to explain how like money doesn't really, it's really about power. So a guy who works at an oil rig and he makes good money and then he takes a vacation to Haiti and, he wants to buy a young girl or something like that. Like, um, one of the reasons why he's able to do that is because of the economic conditions over there in Haiti. And then these people are willing to get paid. They don't have many options on how to make money. So then they get these indecent proposals and they accept them. You get what I'm saying? So like the
Yep.
system is set up in that way. So but that's in people's defense. But on the flip side of that, like I said, like if you live a life as a gangster or whatever, like you a thuggish, ruggish bone dude, and you rob people and you shoot and kill people all the time, you know, the chances of you catching a bullet is really high, like a random ass bullet when you're chilling and you're just with the family eating a burger,
Right.
and here come the bullets. And at that
And
moment, you was innocent. You wasn't doing nothing bad. You wasn't up to nothing. You wasn't trying to rob people, but it came back. So you reaped what you sowed. You sowed what you reaped. So, that's what it is in your life. So, it's the same thing with how you treating other people. And that's why there goes the money again. Because people in the class system, because people feel like, okay, well, if I have a lot of money, then it doesn't even matter. I could treat people however the hell I want to treat them. And that's one of the things I've noticed in that show, Squid Game. The VIPs in that show, they treated people like, objects, like a piece of furniture, a light stand, a background. They had zero value. Completely dehumanized, and
yeah,
because the
I watched
way
that. I watched that series too. And I'm not a big TV person, but they they had an agenda, and they had
a message.
the people that were in control didn't have control at all.
Right. That's what it was showing. And I think it's like that in real life here. That goes back to, again, you know, it's our fault at the end of the day, and know thyself, and giving them, you know, the authorities that we give them is how they rule over us. They have to rule by consent. They say that all the time. We have to rule by consent, because they know the power of the people. The people have to give their consent. So we've given them the consent for all this shit that they do to us.
Yeah, it won't happen. There's something there's there's something bigger that's going on that they want to lead people to. It will ultimately fail, to be honest, because of free will. Love first, will under love. If you don't have love for yourself or anybody else, people are susceptible to anything. All these black killings. You seen that? I think it was on Twitter. That dude that got executed.
Yeah, yeah, I
He
saw
was
that.
like, "Yep," and I was like, "Man, I'm
So
like,
my
that could have been
argument,
me for real." Cause
exactly. My argument is we all suffer in these systems. So even that person that's looking at other people as they don't really exist, they're just ornaments. They're empty inside, like they're suffering. They don't know what it feels like to connect with another person. You know what I'm saying? They suffering too. You know what I'm saying? You're losing. Um, you know, if we do what these scriptures are telling us, and love thy neighbor, there's a benefit that we get from this. And I be trying to scream this from the top of my lungs, because I really don't think people see it that way, because they don't see a tangible physical benefit, or if they do, like they feel like it's not worth it. But they're not.
King, you can't carry the world on your back. You just gotta do the best that you can. You're doing good. I'm doing good based on, taking the time to speak on this show.
Right.
It's it's really a
You putting out that
it's a
good energy
decision.
into the
It's
universe. Yeah.
yeah,
With
it's a
good
decision.
intentions. And so, but that's what I mean. Like the guy that's the guy that has no connection to people, he's empty inside, and he's also missing something. He's missing that opportunity of having a genuine connection with another person. You know what I mean? He's
That's a real
losing in that
schism.
aspect.
That sounds like a schism in humanity. And I wish I put out to the universe like things will change. There's things I have to work on myself, but I'm not doing what these other people are doing.
Right.
I all I do is just scroll through a feed, and I'm like, man, that's
They just
that shit's unheard of.
they like to
It's not logical.
they like to promote the Sodom and Gomorrah shit. They like to promote the chaos. But that, I always say that that's not the majority. Most people are mostly righteous. You know what I mean? For the most part, because we are that way naturally. We know what's right and wrong. We know that without the book telling us this. You know what I'm saying? We know we
Yeah,
can feel it in our stomach. You know what I'm saying? So, but
you're
we push
good.
we push against that because society is telling us something different. But what I want to keep stressing is that there is a benefit to loving thy neighbor. You know what I mean? There's a real benefit to it, and there's also a punishment for looking at people as objects. You know, the
Mm.
way the universe works, you have to pay regardless. Everybody pays. Everybody pays. Nobody gets to opt out of this. Everybody pays one way or another. So if you're a wise person, then you look at the world and you try to make those decisions wisely on what you're willing to accept, what you're gonna have to pay, your punishments that you're gonna have, those souls that you're gonna have to reap. So, but most people go around and they're not even aware. They're completely oblivious to what they're creating. We're all creators and we create shit every day. So we create this environment, we create this world, we're creating the universe every day. So, but to that person that's subconscious to what he's doing, the chances of him creating something good is very, very low. Most likely he's gonna he have good intentions and it's gonna have a terrible result. But when you're wise and you're aware that even if no matter which decision you make, there's consequences and repercussions to it. You know what I'm saying? What
Right.
right and wrong, good and bad is out the door. Just what's gonna happen as a result. This is just action reaction. This is science. There's no way to get away from it. There's no way around it. You cannot escape this. No one can. Just like death. Just like death. So this is where we are. That's where we land with religion and Easter and whatever. You can't escape death. Ultimately, all of us will no longer be here.
Ooh, see, yeah, death is the ultimate leveler. We're all gonna die, so let's make good decisions on our way out.
During the time, do
You know,
what you can
it kind
with
of.
the time that you have. So
I
what
feel
you
like
reaping
I'm tippy toe with the universe, and the universe is like, yeah, he's saying exactly the truth. You can't even debate it, because usually I'm like, oh well, I have this ideology or that. Nah, man, it's make the
this
right
is
decision
this is
moving forward.
universal. Universal. So every
And
man, woman, and
the
child.
people have the power, and um, divide and conquer, black, white, sexism. I've talked about this before. Um, classism. You know, I'm better than you. What type of job do you have? No, the first question you should ask a person is how more are you?
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day, forget about the money and this and that.
How do
I
you
know
treat
I gotta eat.
how do you treat people that are below you, that you consider below you or whatever? People that aren't don't the have nots, the ones that, and
You
how do you
can't save
treat
the world though.
and it's like how do you treat your subordinates when you're at work? Like let's say you're in charge of other people. How do you treat them? Let's say you're an executive or you're the boss.
You
How do
treat
you
them moral, but at the end of the day, there's tiers of business. You have like a president, well, you have the owner, the president, the CEO, and this and that, and people are just like looking at numbers. They're like, I don't give a fuck what's
because
going on.
because because the
Change
system
it,
is
correct it.
because the system is detached. I know exactly what you're saying because you're saying the exact words that how and exactly how it works. They're just looking at the numbers. Fix it. It's not my problem. Don't make your problems my problems. Fix it. That's your job. Fix it. I want better numbers next time. Period. Like, but that's because of this corporate
Or you'll be
system that we
replaced.
have. Yeah, or you'll be replaced. So you're gonna
Or
take
you'll
care
be
of business,
replaced.
and you're gonna shit on the people that's below you and take advantage of and exploit their work because you have to survive. So, but that's the system that's set up. But what I'm saying is that even within that system, are you kind when you can be to people that are, like and are you aware, at the very least, are you aware of the value of
No,
these people?
they're not.
Because
You're
because
completely detached.
because every company, every system, every business has people that make it go, and then it's that guy who cleans the toilets, it's that guy who cleans the windows and you know what I'm saying? It's the person who answers the phone. You know what I'm saying? This is what makes your business. You know what I mean? If these guys don't show up, then you fucked. You know?
But hey, there's a lot. Most businesses fail. 90% of businesses, well, probably a little bit less, but I would say 90% of businesses fail within their first year, 2 years, 3 years. You know.
Well, that's true, but that's kind of beside the point. What I'm talking about is how, the
No, I get what you're saying, but like you have to get to you have to break it down to the basics.
Yeah.
You know, why do they fail? Is because there's no such thing as a perfect system. And
Well,
so, what,
well, well, there's ways to run businesses and value your employees. Like, you don't have to do it with this corporate system of just looking at numbers, but this is that race to the bottom thing that I be talking about all the time. That profit, profit, profit model, and not everybody goes at their business in that way, and you don't have to. And then they'd be like, "Oh, you're going to get gobbled up by your competition if you don't," but that's not true. There's plenty of examples out there, but they don't celebrate those examples. They celebrate the Walmarts and the Amazons, the ones that completely exploit people, the businesses that don't do that. Because, see, it's all about being the biggest, right? It's all about being the biggest. It's all about the one who can hoard the most resources. It's all about the one who has the most profit. So it's like, okay, it's that competition model. It's that, last quarter they did this amount in profit, so we got to beat them. You know what I mean?
I
So,
would
but
say the lack of participation of the average novice individual that's in the world and working is that's where they can capitalize, and that they're like merging. They're like, we don't have no choice.
exactly, and that's where the democracy breaks down. Where this is what I be trying to get people to understand that
It's capitalism, not democracy.
yes, yes, it's not democracy. Look at the way wherever you work at, is that job? Is it a democracy within there? Do you have any input on like anything that has anything to do with anything related to the business? Nothing. The
You don't even
president
have
of the company.
a stock in the business,
You have
and
you have
and
you have
so
little
if you
to
don't have a
no
stock in the
input.
business, you don't have a say. You don't have. There's nothing, no tier. Like,
But
just shut
look,
the fuck up, hold your head down, and go to work.
right. But look, I mean, we do have the option of which jobs we work. Okay. I'll give us that. The privilege to choose our slave master, if you will. But once you've chosen the job, like
Plantation.
what you don't have no options, and you don't have no say so. And then here goes the flip side of this. How much power does your job have over you? How much impact do their decisions on what they say, like your schedule, how much you get paid, when you get paid, when you can take vacation? It's like when you wake up at night, when you go to sleep. Hey, that's your whole damn life. How much you can spend on your mortgage, how much you can spend on your car note.
This
Uh,
control.
when you're in traffic, when you're driving your car, how much you spend on gas, how much you spend for lunch, you know, that's
Damn.
that's your whole life, bruh. That's your whole life. What the government is saying is totally beside the point. Completely beside the point. Whatever your
Yeah.
boss at your job is saying is way more pertinent to your life than whatever George Biden is saying. You gonna listen to the boss, your manager, whoever is your supervisor. You gonna pay attention in that damn meeting. You can fall asleep while Biden is talking. Your life ain't gonna change. You fall asleep in that meeting, you might not have a job no more. Now you done lost your job, you done lost your car, you done lost your mortgage, you lost your house, you done got a divorce because your wife done left you. Now you contemplating suicide.
Mm.
That's your whole life.
Man, that's oh, you're talking the truth.
Yeah, man.
That's hot shit right there, man.
So what we gonna do?
We want you to be an activist, and don't take our word for it. Look that shit up. Pulley.